Welcome back to Death Curse Society, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. It's now time for some stories around the campfire.
Amanda!
Recently released on Shudder, Caveat is a 2020 Irish horror film written, directed, and edited by Damien McCarthy in his featured directorial debut. It stars Jonathan French as Isaac, a drifter suffering from partial memory loss who accepts a job to look after a psychologically disturbed woman in a house on a secluded island. This was one of those films I had no idea what to expect going into. I even watched the trailer. I still had no idea. And I'm not sure I have any idea after I've seen it. But let's get into it. Colonel, initial thoughts on Caveat.
Let me go to the trailer first. I'm like, okay, so we have a paranormal psychological thriller? After watching Caveat, we have a paranormal psychological thriller? It's like a potluck of horror movies all thrown in together. Like I said, you had a little bit of that paranormal, you had a little bit of the psychological, you had a little bit of the thriller. It's too scatterbrained, okay? Leaves so many questions unanswered. Like, I still have tons of questions after watching this movie.
Yeah, I didn't really know what it was either. I'll say this, they got me when she comes walking in holding the rabbit with the drum, and the fucking rabbit starts playing the drums and like almost like a divining rod or something, or a metal detector. You know, it's kind of silly, you know, but then it's very tense. But then, you know, you start to get into this haunted house, psychological thriller, and it's effective, man. It looks great.
Mm-hmm.
It's super tense. I felt almost the need at times to sit there and kind of, I don't do that, man. You know, I was kind of like, what the fuck? 'Cause I was waiting for it. And that's the thing. That's the problem I do kind of have with this movie. You do a lot of waiting for things that never quite come to pass. It is a good watch, and I'm sure we're going to get into why it's a good watch.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. That first scene that you're talking about, Ziggy, where she's walking around the house with that rabbit doll and the drum, I thought gave me an idea. We were going down some kind of paranormal route, and then we see the brother hire somebody to go and keep an eye out for her. But, it's on an island I forgot to tell you about. It's kind of isolated. And she's paranoid. You have to basically wear a body leash to keep you from being able to access certain areas of the house, especially her room. That'd be the first thing where I'd be like, fuck this shit, I'm out. You know, no. And the movie would be over, though. But then you have that aspect, and then it's more like psychological, bordering on kind of a torture porn kind of thing, but not too much torture, just restrictions, I guess. Then you have some, like you said, it's supernatural. I love the fact that you call it like the potluck of a horror film. I mean, that's a perfect description for this. Let me ask this question first, because what the fuck was that rabbit? I don't fucking know. Was it a divining rod? Was it sensing evil nearby? Was it just kind of a warning to other characters? I don't fucking know. Ziggy?
Here is a situation where you actually want like a Conjuring kind of universe museum with some explanation of what the fuck this is, because you just do not get it.
No.
We don't know what the rabbit is and why it drums when certain...
Sometimes it just drums.
A lot of the connections are very frayed when they're telling the story. As great as it looks, you just got to go with it, obviously. The whole being chained into the fucking house because she's a paranoid schizophrenic who's afraid of somebody walking in on her when she's sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
So you see a lot of her like this.
Right.
For long periods of time. There's a lot of things unexplained in this movie that need some fleshing out. Maybe he'll start a new universe like that. I don't know.
No, I don't see that happening. A low budget Caveat universe? No. Colonel, do you agree? No explanation, no idea what the fucking rabbit's about?
Exactly. There's no fucking explanation or anything. I hate to say it. They set it up great with the tension to this movie with the fucking rabbit. And it's like you said, just drumming. But the sad thing for me is that's the most tense, scariest moment of the movie. That rabbit alone. It's just, what's up with that fucking rabbit? It's so freaky looking. What the hell's going on? You guys want to talk about the fucking human leash? That shit was stupid because there's no explanation. If you explained it a little bit, other than, oh, she's, won't let her sleep coming in her room. I said, this bitch give Daryl Dixon a run for his fucking money. The painting was fucking freaky too.
Yes.
This is we're talking early the first 10, 15 minutes of this fucking movie. Everything we're talking about now.
I think the rabbit was probably the best part about this movie for me. The performances were good too, because you've got a girl that's clearly off her rocker, for a non-PC term, I guess, excuse me. But then you've also got, the guy, Isaac, who isn't all there either. And there's something clearly mentally wrong with him too, or psychologically wrong with him too, but they don't go into it. I mean, like I mentioned a minute ago, the synopsis says this guy is a drifter suffering from memory loss, partial memory loss. And I didn't really get the memory loss thing at all unless he's been to that house before, but it's not thoroughly explained. I mean, there are kind of very minor allusions to it, but one of our viewers, Lorena, even said, yeah, I watched this movie. I was confused as fuck. What did you think about the performances between Jonathan French as Isaac and Leela Sykes as Olga, Colonel?
Man, I think they both did a great job playing their individual parts. Mm-hmm. I'll be honest, just trying to pay attention and interact on screen, to me, that it just wasn't there. Granted, it's not like there was a role where they had to have chemistry because it was awkward as shit.
Right.
So I guess if you're saying they played up to the awkwardness, they did. Again, it's a lot of talk with no fucking substance. That's what I felt really hurt. Oh, well, you did this. Oh, I'd remember if I did that. Well, you did. Oh, but I'd remember. Kind of going back to your point. It's like, like people buy these jeans, they're already ripped and torn, look old. Mm-hmm. And, the person wearing it, male or female, might have some bigger thighs, and they're getting stretched and holding on thin. Before they fucking snap, this movie was like the stretched part of the pants, just barely holding on, trying to make sense of this. It was just, the performances are great. I mean, the performances were good. It looked great. I had a few complaints about the sounds. There's sometimes where it's just, I feel like I was in the theater. I was watching shit, and I was like, whoa, turn that down to like fucking 5.
Yeah, some of the sound effects really hit hard.
Yeah, the performances support this very fine. The story, and the more I think about it, it's not annoying me as much as you two guys. And I don't know, maybe I have my own interpretation of how this movie went down, but as he's starting to remember the details, he actually was there before.
That's kind of what I'm thinking too.
Well, yeah, and he actually was the guy paid to chain this guy down to put him in the basement and lock him in. Olga's dad.
Or was he a brother?
It is strange how they tell it and how it comes into focus what happened, but to me, they paid him to go there knowing that guy was claustrophobic, was going to blow his own head off. He did it, and somehow he's this. That's where it gets to be like this movie reminded me of Memento, because how that movie almost runs fucking backwards.
It does.
And you think you have it, and you think you have it figured out, and then it's like, oh my God, they go a complete 90-degree turn on you, and it's like, damn, this is not as extreme like that, but the way they give you the details and fill in the plot, it is like that. It gets into this whole cat and mouse thing where she's kind of hunting him for a minute, and that part didn't make sense to me until you realize he's the one that put her dad down there. Mm-hmm. That's why this story works for me.
There's also this illusion that this is a game being put together by Olga's brother, Barrett. And it is kind of almost like a continuous cat and mouse game with just new people coming into the house. And how long does it take her to either trap them in the basement or just kill them? Is kind of where it almost feels like it might have gone somehow. And maybe that started with the mother, then went to the dad, and then went to the guy before, Isaac, that I can't remember his name right now, and then to Isaac. Do you think it was a game like that was run by Barrett for Olga's entertainment?
For me, they're just all defective in their own way. Her with her symbols and crazy drawings and the psychological torture she put him on the brink of suicide anyway. Olga with her whole eye covering and just absolute paranoia. But then she kind of reels it in for bouts for a minute. She makes sense, and she's the one telling him, hey, you did this, and you were here, and you were here, and look, here's your jacket. And that's not my jacket, and that he realizes it is. I don't think it was a game on purpose. maybe from his point of dementia and craziness, he was, but the rest of them were not absolutely willing participants. They don't explain his memory loss. They don't explain, there's a lot of things like why she's in her condition. They don't explain the slight supernatural element that comes into play. Things happen, and when you get to the payoff, or the end of the movie, I guess, is the payoff here, it stops.
Could it be a game? Sure. Could have just been a bunch of random shit put together? Sure. I don't fucking know. Maybe it's a fucking Irish pastime to fucking lock people in a fucking house.
I'd rather just go drinking whiskey.
Fucking movie, though. It did keep me interested the whole time, though. I wanted to know what was going to go down. I was hoping for something spectacular where I'd be go like, yes! You know, that don't ever happen.
But it doesn't.
No, it just looks and sounds. I love that soundtrack, man. I thought that was fucking perfect.
The sound I thought was really good, but I will agree with Colonel a little bit that there were moments where you're really having to listen to the dialogue and then wah, 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 wah. Like fuck me. Neighbors knocking on my door, like, what are you doing? It's 5 a.m.
I felt like that dude in that fucking old cassette tape commercial. It's getting blown back.
Yep.
I had to turn it down a couple of times.
A lot of this, especially close to the third act and in the third act, takes place in almost complete darkness. And it's led with, you see a flashlight a little bit, and occasionally the flashlight will shine on a person's face. A lot of times I hate that shit because it doesn't look good. This looks good, though. I really dug this. Did that work for you, Colonel?
Oh, dude, it worked out fucking fantastic. So I'm with you. Sometimes, like, okay, it gets a little old. This did not. It was very, very fitting. Spoiler alert. All right, the asshole was locked down in the fucking basement. You see a little sewing. It's fucking ply. It's fucking drywall. Again, I don't know why anybody just didn't fucking kick it out, but whatever. So he's thinking it's Isaac. He's like, I'm waiting for you, Isaac. I'm waiting for you. Isaac's not in the fucking basement anymore. He got out.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking through the intercom. Hey, buddy, what's happening? You want to get a Guinness? You want to get a pint after this? He doesn't say that. But you get my gist. He's like, took my Lucky Charms. Next thing you know, bam, you're the first bit of paranormal activity you've seen since the beginning of the fucking movie.
Yeah,
Just going around the corner. Watch Crank. That.
And that's it. That's all you get.
That's it. But I was like, oh, hell yeah. That's like buying, those fucking mortar shells for the 4th of July. Saving them for less. Man, this is the finale. This is where we're going to kick it off with.
Mm-hmm.
And they fucking suck.
And they're duds. Yeah.
But no, yeah, the wick.
Or it blows off in the fucking tube, and now you're fucked. Now you got to light them by hand and throw them in the air and see what happens.
We should explain that the spirit or paranormal person that is peeking around the corner at that character is the mother who has died apparently by being shot by a crossbow because it's stuck in her shoulder at one point and buried in the wall or stuck in the wall. And that's where Isaac ends up getting to, where he's trying to saw out and escape. But he finds this dead person, this dead mother in the wall, and he gets so freaked out by her in the wall that he covers her face with his hat. And then as he's sawing along, he looks back over and she's peeking through. She's drilled a hole in that hat somehow and just peeking through. That was some creepy ass shit. And it worked. But did the darkness work for you too, Ziggy? You were chuckling when I asked that question.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times these guys do these dark shots, and Host comes to mind with an effective way to do the darkness, because that was excellent.
Right.
They don't quite go the same way with this, but he's shuffling around in there. You can feel it. You're in there, and when he's sitting there, kind of sawing through that drywall next to this corpse that's sitting next to him, and he just he does a couple of and then he takes the flashlight. He's got to turn and look at her, and he does it several times. And I'm telling you, man, this shit will get to you. I don't even want to say what happens because I don't want it to ruin it, because it is one of the best parts of the movie. My one issue with this corpse, you can't leave the eyes alive like that. You can't. That makeup was perfect, aside from the regular brown-eyed girl eyes sitting right there, full of life, clear or smoky contacts. Just you gotta zombie them up or something. make them white. Something would have made that hair stand up material. That's my only nitpick on it, though.
What were some of the questions you guys had about this that were unanswered? Who was that third guy? Maybe Colonel?
Maybe, I'll be honest with you, the main question I have after watching this is, what the fuck was this? I'm sorry, that's the main question. Burning, what the fuck did I just watch? Not the fact that it was disturbing, just the fact nothing was fucking answered. Spoiler alert, I'm going to spoil this fucking movie. I don't care. The movie ends with this motherfucker taking the border collie and leaving.
Yeah, but who is staring at him across the way?
Look at chick, your Olga.
With the crossbow, right?
She wasn't going to shoot, though. I mean,
sure.
Positive.
She's still stuck to the chain, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Ziggy, did you have any other questions about this film that weren't answered that we haven't talked about?
Yeah, like I said, we kind of already went over his memory loss. To me, they explained who the guy, the suicide, and to me gives her just cause in hunting Isaac. The brother gets taken out by the ghoul. And then for me, it would have been great if they'd gone right to that scene of the ending with him standing there with the dog and he's looking like he's on his way out. And all of a sudden, crossbow hits him right between the eyes. Perfect ending. They didn't do that. They just kind of have a Mexican standoff between Olga and Isaac, and it goes to black. It's implied maybe after the lights went out, she plugged him, but most likely they went and had a pint, got him some Alpo, stuff like that.
Got him some Alpo.
I still dug this movie, man. I thought, as goofy as it is, it did have more of a complete story than some of the other chum we've been watching the last few months. And it's effective. The production directors, the sound engineers should be commended. And I would love to see more from this director. I want to see where they could give him some money. This guy shot this movie out of his own pocket and then worked a 9-to-5 job to pick up the incurring costs that he got along the way. To produce this off of nothing, what's he going to do when they give him some money?
Since you started us down that road, give us your rating, Ziggy.
If a couple of more of the scares had paid off a little bit better, I think I probably really scored the hell out of it. I want to give it a 7, but I can't. I'm going to go with 6.5.
Again, we all mentioned it. Looks great. Sounds great for the most part. Acted great. Scary ass fucking Drummond Bunny. Okay, maybe they kind of explain his memory loss a little bit, but there's so many more questions go unanswered. That one, I can't rank this as high as it probably would have been. I will admit there was one point I was so jaded by The Conjuring, watching those constantly. There was one scene I was waiting for something to be in the background. There was nothing. I was a little disappointed. I was been trained to be Conjuring-fied. I need to get that out of my brain. That being said, I'm still going to give it at least, I'll give it a 6. I mean, I did find it entertaining. They're just based on the look, the acting, the sound. It looked very professional, looked really good. And it wasn't a terrible story, just as unfinished.
Yeah, I think an extra 20 minutes with some explanation would have benefited this movie tremendously. Even if it was like an exposition, like Olga and the brother are talking near the end of the movie before he's taken. And maybe they're just almost Bond villainish way explaining what they're doing and what all this shit means. We didn't get that. Colonel, you pretty much said every goddamn thing I was going to say to wrap this up. So, yeah, I'm just going to give it a 6 and call it good because that's exactly the way I felt. Caveat is available now on Shudder. You can check it out. Let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you've got explanations, please send them our way because we'd love to hear your interpretations of this because this one, it's still bumping in our heads and we can't figure it out. Stay tuned for more Stories Around the Campfire coming soon. Woo! So, creepy ass movie? Caveat? Yeah. Creepy fucking bunny that plays a drum? Yeah. But what else is there? Thanks for watching. We've got more Stories Around the Campfire coming soon. Stick around. Woo! Really?
We have your woman! She still lives! Outlander, maybe you don't hear so well. Outlander! Her blood will spill unless you give yourself up. You won't wait much longer. Night is coming. Night is his time. Outlander! Come on!
This is Courtney Gaines, Malachi from Children of the Corn, and you're listening to Death Curse Society.
Death Curse Society has just become an associate producer on the film.
Yes.
Bravo. Bravo. Death Curse Society, guys, is so awesome. I met the guys, all three of the guys, at Indianapolis last year for Horror Hound. And I met those dudes, and I gotta tell you, like, I hung out with them. We took pictures. I signed some stuff. They gave me a T-shirt. It was awesome. They are awesome guys. So super cool. I am so glad to have them on board this campaign and also on board the film. And now they are going to be IMDb credited as producers on this movie.
What up? It's the Colonel Death Curse Society. If you enjoyed that video, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And I punched the numbers in my computer. The computer don't lie. If you don't subscribe and watch more videos, you may be a dead fuck. So be sure to click over here for more videos from Death Curse Society.